Hello everybody, welcome to the Otafest Splatoon 2 tournament. I guess we should introduce ourselves. My name is Andrew, or online I go by Tekino, and next to me is...
I'm Serena, but I also go by Kimmy online.
Woo! Alright. So, what we have here is one of the local Alberta Squid Swamp teams versus a pickup group formed right here at Otafest. Things have been balanced out so there's usually at least one high-ranking player on the team, and we're going to play some ranked modes in Splatoon, so this isn't just the regular turf mode that people usually go for. This has a clear objective. There's a giant bazooka shaped like a fish in the middle, covered by an explosive shield. These teams are going to go right in, and they're going to try and get in there and pop that shield, and then when that shield explodes, it's going to splat anybody nearby. And once they pick it up, they got to move it to a big pedestal over by the enemy team's spawn. So there's going to be a lot of people getting trades, picks here and there. I can see, ooh, that ink brush or octo brush up top there, going in for a very aggressive play, climbing right up for a nice ink jet. Ooh, that's Parker. It's on our pickup group. Pickup group is trying to get in there. They don't have a clear advantage right now, but...
So if you notice, the points didn't move when the green team picked it up. That's because going sideways from where the Rainmaker was popped originally from, the middle, going sideways doesn't count for any points. You have to move forward with it.
Correct.
That's why when the orange team picked it up, they went sideways. That's why they only gained 1 point.
So yeah, underneath the timer there, you'll see the 99 remaining. That shows how close you are to getting the lead and or the goal. So when this, ooh, there's the Rainmaker shield popping, like I mentioned before, taking people out, and now they need to move up in order to get these points. But they're waiting for the team to come in, which is actually a really good move. They can't push sustainably without a team to back them up.
Yeah, the Rainmaker, while it can do damage like that, by itself, you're a big target still.
Yes, you move really slow, your shots charge really slow, but you do have a very powerful weapon on your hand when you have it. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. If you have different clothing on that increases the speed at which you swim through the ink, that will help, but it's not going to help if you can't pick it up. Pyra right here, chasing this guy down, trying to... Oh, spotted the hiding guy. Just trying to get that pick.
So brushes here are notorious for being able to run while inking.
Yep.
So they can be pretty slippery.
So Pyra is just making sure the backline is secured, making sure they've got ink back there to that they can regain their ink to recover ammo and make sure his team is set up for success. But pickup group got the Rainmaker to 54 while we weren't looking. Push it up into this area of the spawn. You can, behind that tree, there's that little pedestal with the orange top. That's where they're trying to get to. So,
yeah, green team here did a pretty good job moving it up to 54. Mm-hmm. It's still not a safe push, but a good one at that.
Yeah.
For how stalemate this game seems to be at the moment.
So you notice those bubbles coming around. That's one of the orange team's specials, where you blow big bubbles and then they linger around. And if the orange team shoots them enough, they will eventually explode, kind of like that Rainmaker shield. They're really good for defense and just making sure that people are locked in a place where they don't want to be.
There was another special used called the Stingray. It kind of slows you down in that you can't really move while shooting it, but it's a pretty powerful ray. And
it goes through walls, which is a very...
And it can kind of target other players. You can kind of see through walls where they're at.
Exactly. It does take a while to splat them entirely, though, so you do need to maintain your lock on them while you're shooting through that wall. So it takes a lot of skill to use, but people who use it, really good. Coming in with a flank here. That is a great pick. They've got an opening. The backliner on the orange team, Team A, they've been taken out. So now they just need to get one more pick, and they can start pushing in.
So the backliner is a long-range weapon, typically used as an anchor and as a distance shooter. So it's good for kind of staying out of the way, not getting splatted as much as it can be, and allowing for people to jump to them.
Exactly. Backliners are there just to anchor their team, make sure they've got a safe place to jump back to, and just keep paint down and Oh, that was good. That was so good.
That roller getting 2 kills before getting taken down himself.
That's the goal, though. If you can take out more people in your matches than, before trading. Oh, Suris has a perfect opportunity to take out those incoming jumps, but went for the active kill instead.
Now, while kills aren't everything, you want to make sure you're also turfing your ink so you have easy movement throughout the map.
Absolutely.
Having map control is very crucial to being able to make good pushes and making sure the opponents can't get pushes themselves.
Exactly. The main mode in Splatoon is Turf War, and that teaches you that basic. Painting the ground is crucial. It's the physical representation of how far your team can push up. Green team going in for a solo push. Can you do it? Trying to get it up as far as they could before getting taken out. Once again, they were overextended, didn't have a team back them up, so they were just trying to run it down.
Painting the ground also helps you get your special up. So as you paint, your special meter will go up, allowing you to use those specials. Because you can't just continuously spam them.
A great match from our two teams. Hiccup team taking it down very close to that. Taking that first win. This is going to be a set of 5. So next match we're going to be switching to a different ranked mode with the same teams.
So you saw there on the opposite team, Nick did get, he got 8, or Pyro I should say, got 18 kills. So again, unfortunately, kills aren't everything. While you can carry your team with kills, the rest of your team has to be able to make use of those picks and push up.
Exactly. He was slaying, but slaying's not going to mean anything if your team isn't coordinated enough to take advantage of that. This is where having voice chat headsets like we have here is crucial, because you can let your team know, hey, I've taken 3 down, it's time to push up. Let's get in there, let's move that Rainmaker forward. So next, it looks like we're doing Clam Blitz at Sturgeon Shipyard. Do you want to go into the basics of Clam Blitz?
So Clam Blitz here, you'll have a bunch of little clams spawned across the map. Your goal is to pick up those clams, and you need to create a football. To do that, you need 10 clams in total. Once you have that clam, that giant clam, it'll allow you to break a basket that's near the opponent's spawn. So you can only do that with those power clams.
Yeah, your end goal is to get as many clams into the enemy's basket as you can. The goal to do that is just to break the barrier open and pile them in.
So the basket only stays open for a certain amount of time, but as you keep putting in clams, it'll extend that timer a little bit more.
Yeah, so you can trickle the clams in, make sure your time has more time, or your team has more time to grab more clams, bring them back to the enemy basket, and throw them in.
I need you over here, man.
This sounds really confusing saying it out loud, but it is. It's just how Nintendo made this game, and honestly, I was a little tentative about this at first, but it is pretty fun when you have a local team.
So this is where turf painting everything will come in handy more so than the other modes, because as you paint the ground, where clams spawn, if they're in your ink on the map, they will show up as a beacon essentially to show you, hey, there's clams here.
Yep.
So if they're in the opposing team's color, you won't see them unless you know where to go for them, but it still helps.
Yep. You can memorize locations a little bit, but even then, you won't know if they've been already picked up or by your team or the other team. So.
And whoever's winning, the losing team, the clams will spawn more on their side.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Trying
Just
to
give
balance
them
it that way.
Balance it out. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
It'll still spawn on both sides, but more so for the enemy to try to make a comeback.
Okay. So we've got our two teams here. It looks like we've got a good mix of weapons on both sides.
This is where you're going to see a lot of super jumps happening too, because if somebody gets close to one of the baskets, you can super jump with that power climb to get in.
Exactly. So unlike the last mode, Rainmaker, the objective here is a little scattered out. So this is one thing where communication is going to be very crucial, so that you know how many clams your teammates. Oh no, Parker! Missed his jump, fell off the map.
So this mode here, as Takuno said, it requires a lot of coordination. In solo mode, you don't get that. So this is definitely a bigger team mode.
Yes, it benefits a lot from having voice chat. A lot of people use Discord to communicate if they are either in a team or just in a public, friendly group. Oh, here we go, breaking the barrier. They've opened the barrier, but they need to get more clams in there. You can see on the top bar underneath the timer, that one power clam Oh, yeah, that one power climb took it down to 80. One more person got a climb in, which brought it down to 77. But they don't have ink, they can't push up.
Yeah.
And there's the pity climb.
So each power climb's worth 20 points. Each single climb is worth 3 points. So now you see Orange Team here has a number underneath their 77. It's 11. That there is a Punisher. So that's now they have to put in a full power climb. That will get them down still because a power climb is worth 20.
Okay.
So it's to even
Purple's
them out.
going for a push here, though. They broke the barrier. Oh, their team got wiped out just as they broke the barrier, though. So there's not going to be any follow-up clams. The orange team now is going to get one of those clams that spawns from their barrier once it closes back up. But it's still not closed. Oh, there it is. All right, so.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Purple Team there only got the power climb in, no other additional clams.
Ghost Kari taking out, protecting mid with his Brella weapon, which provides a small shield and allows him to shoot while shielded as well. It can be destroyed, but it does. The shield does respawn once you get an assist. Oh, couldn't quite count that spawn. That jump I meant. There you go. Man, Brella's super tough to deal with if you don't know.
Especially
how.
Undercover Brella. So the Undercover Brella is a bit different than your basic Brella in this game. You can shoot while having the Brella open, whereas other Brellas you can't. And as you kill somebody, it'll replenish your shield, your umbrella.
Yes. Oh, wow. There we go. All right, we're trying. Looks like Purple's trying to make a push in here. They've got one power climb. You can also see how many clams it has. There we go. There's the open.
And they've got a lot of clams.
They've got a lot of clams, so they're going to just pump that thing full. 46 down.
There's still
That
one
is a
more
really
coming
good-
in with a baller.
Baller too. Pyra's there trying to defend it with the baller. Nice. Gets that pick. Basket's still open, able to keep it open by throwing a few more clams in, and he just needs to survive.
So now he's backing up, which is a good idea. You want to stay alive, but he gets caught in that corner.
Yeah, 2v1, you never, your chances of winning that are very slim, so it's best to back up or even jump out if you have the right setup for that.
Yeah, super jumping takes a little bit of time, so you can still splat somebody as they're jumping, but if you can find a spot where you're a little comfortable for just even a second, then you can probably get out safely.
Yep, sometimes all it takes is just hiding behind a small corner or a box to give you enough time to jump out.
So you can see there, the dualies here that we just saw in Purple Team, they knew where that team member was, because the Orange Team had something called
Point sensor.
point sensor on them. So you can see there's a little purple arrow floating around them now. That means the other team can see where they are.
Yep.
They have a little line pointing right towards them.
It is a support weapon, but it's really good if you have, once in the coordination, take advantage of it. You can let your team know where they are, call them out on voice chat, so your team, even if they can't see them, they know generally where the other team is. Purple team coming in here with a push, gonna break that barrier, waiting for the team. What's going on here? There we go, waiting for that second power. No! The counter break!
I'm wondering what happened there.
Well, orange team saw that purple was on their way over, and they just broke the...
Yeah, but Purple had a lot of time to throw that power climb, and how come they didn't?
I don't know. That's bizarre, but when one basket's open, you can't break the other one
Oh,
open.
they got 2 power climbs in this time around on the Purple side team.
Oh, my bad. That is an impressive push. They have that's a big lead that the orange team is going to have to do
Ooh,
a
and
lot
Purple's
of
still
work.
there.
A lot of work to come back from this. We
They
just
need
need
2 more clams.
Kyra's in the back there with the power clam. I can see her on the top left there. Coming
Can't get in time, though.
Oh, there's going to be a slight delay, and she got taken out anyways. That's rough.
But getting it down to 4, that's a pretty strong push right now.
That's a
Orange
super
team here
strong
has to pretty much knock it out now at this point to win.
Absolutely. Their power climb that they built up there was lying on the ground after Kairos got taken out. And if you don't pick it up in time, it does break, and all those 10 clams you picked up before are just gone.
There goes a super jump.
Here's the super jump coming in for another push. Oh, they fumbled it.
Taken out.
Taken out with this. Oh,
somebody
picked
picked it up.
Heck yeah.
But
so now we're going
now
to go
the
into
team's wiped.
overtime. Oh, the team wiped. They're not going to be able to get back in there.
So unfortunately, the orange team there, all the members on the team got splatted. That's a team wipe is what we call
okay.
that.
Yeah.
That means they're not going to have enough time to go from spawn back all the way over with a clam to keep that basket open.
So we're 1-1, pickup team versus team A. That was an exciting match to watch. That was, man, going back and forth like that. That surprise break really caught me off guard.
Yeah, the orange team, well, they made a good initial push. They weren't able to keep it up.
No.
Sometimes the first person to get the push kind of gets to keep it, but unfortunately, the purple team was able to coordinate a lot better this time around.
This time around, absolutely. And sometimes certain teams just have modes that they're more proficient with. If they practice Clam Blitz as a team, you can coordinate really well. One of the big things about Splatoon is making sure you coordinate your specials or ults with the rest of your team so that you can use 2 or 3 at once to just push the other team back and take the ground you need.
And they say Climb Blitz is the mode that best determines how well your team does with each other because it does take the most coordination.
I would 100% agree with that.
Alright, so next we're heading on to Splat Zones on Muscle Forge Fitness.
So Splat Zones, it is similar to Turf Wars in the fact that you need to paint the ground in order to win. But instead of the entire map, you're restricted to a small rectangle that your team has to paint and maintain the paint on that small area until the timer runs out. So once again, rather than have the objective be the entire map, you're more centralized. You're going to see a lot of people pushing in and being aggressive where they can.
And we will see that, I had the word in my head, Punisher's not the word. Wow, that was a blank.
Well,
there's a Super Smash Brothers tournament later today. How does registration work for that?
please talk to Brendan over there. So
That number that when you stop a push.
penalty.
Thank you. I had a P word in my head and Punisher kept sticking there and I'm like, penalty is what I want, but that's not what I was getting.
Yeah.
So you will see penalties come up again in this so when a team loses control and it goes back to the opposing team's possession, there'll be a penalty again on the opposite team. There is such thing as neutral in this, so a team can gain control, but if the other team paints enough, it'll put it back to neutral. That means the counter won't go down on the opposite team's points, but neither team will gain points at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good way to stop a push if you can, but it's also not going to fully stop it. You have to gain control again for yourself to get your timer to get going again.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good way to just stop them from gaining points if you can. That is a point where if your team is down, you can at least try and neutralize that zone to make sure that they aren't gaining points and then back up.
Sorry if I just walked in that.
All right, looks like both teams are ready. We're going to hop right in. Rather than describing what's happening, we're going to see it in action.
Gamer name you use to play?
So in this mode, there's gonna be like any other mode, it's gonna count on specials to make good pushes here. So we have 2 octobrushes on that team, which are close range slaying weapons, and I didn't see what the other team had. So we got Umbrella, Kensa, Splatter Shot.
So we've got 2 long range weapons on each team, and a short and a mid.
Yep.
So the short range here, we've got the brush that'll be in your face, trying to get you going.
Not just in your face, but typically trying to sneak up from behind. Their game is to try and get behind and take out the backliners that are keeping that team anchored.
But they're also not the best slayers, so you're running a lot.
Yes, you are going to be zipping around with your brush to the ground, trying to just gain ground. The main advantage of the brush is mobility. Ooh! Nice trade in the middle there.
And a fling set too, you don't see those very often.
Not too often, honestly.
So here we got the brush coming up on the left-hand side of our screen. He's going to be trying to come up and around.
So, okay. Right now, Saris is trying to come back in. Making a careful approach, looking at the situation before just hopping in to try and get picks. There you go, perfect opportunity. Saw the opportunity to take, I think that Ghost Kari out. Oh, nice 3!
Can he find a 4th? Nope, they're all wiped out.
They're all wiped. So now is the perfect time to just push up, paint the map, and make sure that you have control and keep the other team from getting even close to center. So that's a great push. That was awesome.
So there you saw the special called missiles. So what that allows you to do is target onto the opposing team and send off a bunch of missiles. If you're targeting one person, it sends off 10. If you're targeting multiples, it lowers that number of people that you're targeting, or how many missiles you send to each target.
Absolutely. And before you launch those missiles, you can see where the entire enemy team is as long as they're within your reticle. So in a team setting, that is great because you can let the other team know what to expect where.
So you can see there was one on spawn, 2 in mid.
Absolutely. And while those missiles are going, it does show their marker too, so it does, once again, help buff your team, let them know where others are.
So there you just saw him take out an opponent. They were using a special called Inkjet, and it leaves a little marker as to where you're going to land again, and that's what was just killed there. It's a camp.
Yeah. Kyra's backing up just to make sure they've got good enough distance that their frontliners can jump back in, protect them, and also have enough space to shoot the zone and get a nice pick in zone. One thing you'll notice that when you do splat somebody on the opposite team, they do explode into your color ink. So dying in that zone is bad for your team.
Yeah. Now, green team, the bubbles were a little bit premature. They should have saved that special for later because they already had control of the zone. They didn't need to pop them or use them at all yet.
Yeah. But sometimes if you're out of ink, it can be used just as a quick way to refill your ink tank instantly. Oh. Myra coming in here, camping out one, and taking out somebody actively in their pit. Nice.
This is what we call some sharking.
Exactly. So, oh no.
He's just, Pyra here just bullying the other team at this point.
Oh no. 6 seconds left on their timer. It looks like this is a pretty clear victory for them.
And that is it for
Nice.
the green team. They pulled it back from a bit from behind.
Rough start in match 1 for Team A, but they definitely came back in match 2 and 3 here.
There's a lot of picks that green got there, the green team, with 3 kills at a time from multiple players throughout the match. That there pushes the other team back a lot and allows you to make quite a bit of a stance.
Absolutely. And we mentioned before that splats aren't everything in this, but sometimes, in splat zones in particular, your team can't paint the zone if they are heading back to spawn, so.
Yeah, there's something in this game called spawn camping. So if you can get, depending on the maps, not all maps you can do this perfectly with, but some maps you can sit there and as they're coming from spawn, you just splat them again. That way they can't get much further than that, they can't get to objective.
Absolutely.
So if you're a bully,
yes, unfortunately, if you can get your team up that far, it's very tough to push back from. You either have to take a separate route or just, once again, like anything else, build up your specials by painting the ground and push back using your specials. Force them out.
so now we're going to see tower control at humpback pump tracks. So this mode here, you're going to see it's, if you're familiar with Overwatch, it's like
Payload.
payload.
Yep.
So you have the tower in the middle, and as you're standing on it, the tower will move towards the opponent's side, and there's going to be checkpoints along the way. So you have to clear each checkpoint to get further down the line.
And when you're at each checkpoint, the tower stops moving, so you need to be on that tower. You're kind of a sitting duck there.
But the more people on your team that you have on that tower, the faster that timer goes down on those checkpoints.
Absolutely. So this is a matter where you have to make sure that one person on your team is on the tower and then everybody else is supporting them by pushing the other team back.
Now, unlike payload, this tower will go back and forth.
Yes. If no one's on the tower, eventually the timer, it will just start heading back to the middle slowly. So even if you've got the ground painted, that tower's going to head back to the middle and you got to have somebody go back there and sit on it.
But the nice thing is, once you clear a checkpoint, you don't have to clear it again if you have to go back in that direction again.
Absolutely. Once you pass that, it's a 10-second timer, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it varies depending on which map and mode.
Again, the more people you have on it.
Absolutely. It's not exactly 10 seconds, but 10 ticks. So once those 10 ticks are done, it'll just move smoothly past there, and yeah, it'll be on its way past that checkpoint.
So again, like most, you're trying to get the most amount of points, if not a knockout. So the farther you get the tower, the better.
Absolutely.
For this map, it's going to be a bit tricky. So Humpback Pump Track, you'll see momentarily, this one's very bumpy. There's a lot of ups and downs, valleys and stuff like that. So as the team gets further down, they're going to get to a point where the opposing team's going to have the high ground.
Absolutely.
So they're going to be able to try to get you. So if you can get past that small little low ground on the tower, that's a fairly good push.
Absolutely. And unlike other shooters, these guns shoot lobs of ink, and those curves it's got fall off. So as that shot lowers down, it will get people on the other side of that. So
here you're going to see that Stingray weapon most likely coming out again.
a lot.
Because you can target that tower a lot easier with a Stingray.
Yeah, you know exactly where they're going to be because they got to be on that tower. So anything that can specifically target that tower and get people off is a good weapon.
So now, you see that they stood on tower to take it back. Now, if you were to leave the tower alone and let it go back on its own, it's a slower path, it's slower travel back to the middle on its own. But if you stand on it, it'll go back to the middle faster.
Absolutely. So you'll see on this map, they've added some inclines, which stem from this little black, I don't know, orb that shoots out this incline where you can swim in that line and just get a little bit of distance really quickly. You are visible when you're going through it, but it is good for just getting out of spawn and getting instant high ground.
So this is so far a pretty good push. They got past that little low ground there.
Absolutely.
But not quite a safe push yet.
Yeah.
I think the safest push is if you get past the second checkpoint.
Yes, once you're past the second checkpoint, you have a lot of ink on the ground already, and you can typically knock it out pretty easily. But in this case, the green team has a bunch of walls they can hide behind to make sure that they're safe, and depending on what weapon you have, you can sometimes just lob ink over that wall and get people on that tower.
So here we see that Stingray I mentioned coming out again.
Absolutely.
Keeping the other team at bay. Even though they have the tower themselves, it's also a good weapon just to kind of like pressure people out of the way from that area.
Absolutely. You don't want to be in the direct line of sight of that laser that shoots through walls, because that's just a bad time. Sometimes people do use it from the tower, as we saw there, but you move very slowly when that happens, and it leaves you very vulnerable. You need your team to back you up in that case.
So just from what we saw on the map there, Green Team does have quite a bit of map control. They have got a lot of ink on the ground. They can make a lot of sneaky pushes now to gain more control, get a better lead going if they want, be a little bit more safe.
On the top right of the screen, you can see Ghostkari and Pyra. They're both back there behind enemy walls, just getting picks. Oh wait, no, they got on this side now. Probably from that ink line.
So here, Green Team just past checkpoint 2. Once you get up this little edge here, I feel like it's a pretty solid push now.
It seems like a pretty solid push. Pyra's just there trying to camp out people, trying to get out from that ink line. And now they're past that last checkpoint. Here's the dunk and knockout.
So that is a KO. They made it to the last point. That means that the game is over.
Pretty clean push. I feel like by the time we were finished explaining things, it was already done. So good coordination on Team A's, Green Team's part, keeping the enemy at bay, and once again, Pyra.
Pyra is slaying, carrying that team.
Absolutely. He's finally warmed up and ready to go.
Sweet.
Good to know. All right, so was that 3 for
that was
Team
3
A?
for the Green Team now, yeah, because they lost that first one, but they were able to pull it out and get those wins in those last 3 games there.
Awesome. So that's going to be that first set done. We're going to go to the second.
Second match.
Second round in bracket 1. Is that proper terminology? I'm not super up to date on that.
I'd say that's
descriptive enough, we'll say.
Y'all get it right.
So next will be Booyah Beaches versus another pickup team formed here at Otafest. Assuming we have everyone organized here, so I don't know if we have an intermission screen, but that would be great right about now.
So we'll be right back with some more Splatoon action shortly.